All right, in this video, we're continuing AUC Section 300 for planning and audit. And up until this point, we've gone through all of the requirements in this AUC section. And so now, as is customary in most all of these AUC sections, the last requirement is that they list is the documentation part. And so we'll see here in this video what we need to document related to our audit plan and audit strategy. So first it says that we should include in the audit documentation our overall audit strategy, our overall audit plan, and any significant changes made during the audit engagement to the overall audit strategy or the audit plan and the reasons for such changes. And if we remember, the audit strategy is more of the forest and the audit plan is more of the trees of the audit. So the strategy is more our administrative firm policies of making sure we get the right people into the engagement. When do we need to have this engagement finished by, etc. But then the audit plan is actually related to assessing the risk of the entity and designing the audit procedures to be performed and such. So that's the difference between these two, and you can see the prior videos we discussed previously related to these two. And of course, whenever we were going through those other videos, we saw that there's the possibility that the audit plan or the strategy could change as we go through our audit, and we need to document what has changed to our plan or strategy and what circumstances came about that made us want to make that change. So let's go down and take a look at some of the explanatory material here and get some more information on this. Okay, so now we're down to explanatory material about the documentation related to our audit plan and our audit strategy. So it says documentation of our overall audit strategy is a record of our key decisions that we consider to plan the audit and communicate significant issues to the engagement team. For example, we might summarize the overall audit strategy in the form of a memo that contains key decisions regarding the overall scope, timing, and conduct of the audit. So we see here that this don't really have to have anything. They don't dictate what form of documentation we have to have. A memo is simple enough for us to describe in regard to our strategy, the due dates and the key people in our engagement as well as our client, that sort of thing. And also regarding the audit plan, remember that's more of the trees of the engagement. Then we need to record the plan, nature, time, and extent of our risk assessment procedures and our further audit procedures at the relevant assertion level in response to those assessed risks. So we need to document our risk assessment and describe what we saw as more risky or less risky related to each of the assertion levels. So that would be at the account level. And then we would use that documentation to plan our audit procedures. And then someone who is reviewing that work would be able to connect our risk assessment with the procedures that we decided to do to gain evidence to mitigate those risks. And then also, whoever's putting together this plan, it may be a manager on the engagement team or a senior, someone who's well qualified to do it, someone else above them needs to review that audit plan to make sure that it's appropriate in the circumstances. And typically there's audit engagement checklists and such from various vendors that help us put that together. And so we can use those if we have them. And as far as a record of the significant changes to the overall audit strategy and audit plan, this helps us understand why significant changes were made and why the overall strategy and audit plan were finally adopted for the audit. It also reflects the appropriate response to significant changes occurring during the audit. So a reviewer or someone outside the audit, maybe a peer reviewer, would be able to come in and see that, hey, initially their plan was this, but later on throughout the audit they learned of a new circumstance that changes the particular procedures that they needed to do. And so they changed their audit plan and risk assessment and such in conjunction with that newfound information. And of course, that's as there are many things with the audit, is up to the auditor's professional judgment.